What's happening, guys? I am giving you a video that I've never done before, and probably never will do again. I do not want this to turn into a movie channel. I want to keep it a games channel. But I was at Walmart last week, and out of an impulse, I bought four movies that I heard really good things about, or at least that I was interested in watching. And I've watched all of them. I've also watched another movie online. And so I have five movies here that I really like that came out last year. And I'm going to give you guys a top five movies of 2024. The Oscars are this weekend, and a couple of these movies are actually nominated for Best Picture. Um, so we're gonna just go right in. These are the only five movies that I've seen throughout 2024. Well, I watched them just now, but 2024 movies that I finally saw now. So to top off my number five, I have Deadpool and Wolverine. This is the third Deadpool movie. I've seen them all now, and I still think Deadpool 1 is the best, just because it was a really great origin story and it had a really easily hateful antagonist, and it just has a good build up, great pacing. I like Deadpool 1 a lot. Deadpool 2, I didn't like the kid that played Fire Fist. It made it feel like there was no central villain in that one. That's my least favorite Deadpool movie. But Deadpool and Wolverine, in my opinion, sits right in the middle. I think it's an overall solid entry, a little shaky on the pacing, but I love the chemistry that Deadpool and Wolverine have. Deadpool loves Wolverine, and Wolverine hates Deadpool. And they just make for a really, really funny duo. The movie, like the other two, is filled with just fourth wall breaks and references to other movies and other licenses and stuff. Like this one has a scene where Ryan Reynolds points out it looks like Mad Max, and how Wolverine's mask. He says something funny, like it's kind of intimidating, like if Batman could move his neck or something. Really funny. Not a great movie, and this is the worst 2024 movie I've seen, but it's also the fifth best 2024 movie I've seen. It's funny, right? Anyway, yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, they have a dog in this too, Dogpool. They did mess around with like the whole multiverse thing, and which I'm not really a fan of, especially not anymore. And he even points out that it's become a tired aspect in Marvel movies. So overall, I like Deadpool and Wolverine at least enough to warrant a top five movies of 2024. I hated Channing Tatum as Gambit, though. I hope that that's kind of like a joke. Like if they ever make another X-Men movie, I hope Gambit is not Channing Tatum. I don't know if it was a joke. I don't know if it was intentional, but his fake French accent was not really that good. That's actually my the thing I hate most about Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't hate Channing Tatum. I just don't think he was the right fit for this. They did bring back Blade, Wesley Snipes, perfect. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine is my number five. It's fine, but these other four movies are a lot better than that. so, so my number four is Nosferatu, the remake of the 1922 German horror classic. Nosferatu, I think, is an overall really good adaptation to that. Although I will say I like the original more. I think that the original Nosferatu, the way he looked way back in the 20s, was like a lot more terrifying than he does here. You hardly really see him that much Most of his scenes, he's kind of like obscured or in shadows and stuff. But, you know, when he finally does show his whole face, they gave him like a mustache. I don't know why. It's Bill Skarsgård. He does a bunch of weird, crazy shit. But it's got a few people I like in it. You know, it's got Nicholas Hoult. It's got Willem Dafoe. You know, and overall, even though I don't think it's quite as unnerving or as creepy as the original, and maybe that's why, because like the original is like really old and black and white and grainy, and it just kind of has that eeriness that kind of fits it, you know. But I do love the cinematography on this. The production design is great in Nosferatu. It comes with both the theatrical and the extended. I just watched the theatrical. I haven't touched the extended one yet. Maybe I will around like Halloween, and maybe I'll watch the extended version of this. But yeah, Nosferatu, really good remake. One of the best horror remakes of all time, which isn't really saying much. Even with that in mind, I still prefer the original, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go see the remake. It's really well done, regardless of whether you think, you know, the original or this one's better. They're both great. But yeah, Nosferatu is my number four. So we have two horror movies in a row. That was Nosferatu, and my number three is The Substance with Demi Moore, and this was very intense. This is a body horror movie about an aging, almost like washed up actress who is, no one really wants to work with her anymore because, you know, she's gotten old, or, you know, I mean, she looks fucking fine to me. I mean, I still think Demi Moore is pretty hot. But and, you know, this movie is basically about the obsession of looking young and beautiful, and the media's obsession with sexual objectification of women, and so she takes this drug that kind of morphs her. Well, she doesn't morph. She actually hatches out of her old self and makes like a new woman, like a really young, you know, sexier version of her, uh, played by uh, played by Margaret Qualley. I don't really know who she is, but She also did a really good job in this movie, and this is one of those movies that, yes, it is very graphic. There's a lot of violent score because it's a body horror movie. There's a lot of nudity. I mean, look at the front cover right here. Out of the five movies that I'm talking about today, this is definitely the most triggering. It has like the most sensitive topics about our society and our pressures of looking as best as we can. I think most people need to see this movie, especially most women, because we have this subject matter, and you know, this woman who becomes increasingly fixated on looking younger so that she can feel more loved and more appreciated and just more remembered. Um, but but then it doesn't have a happy ending. Shit gets gross, side effects occur, and eventually we see a freaking monster. And, you know, and when I watched it, I'm like, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of like a lot of actors who get like plastic surgery and stuff because they can't really accept that they're getting older, so they try to inject, you know, fillers and just plastic surgery and Botox, and you know, 95% of the time, in my opinion, it just makes them look worse and more unnatural. And I think this is kind of like the gross body horror version that kind of symbolizes this problem we have in our society, where women are still to this day judged by their looks. The Substance is a really great movie. Like I said, it is not for the faint of heart, but it has a lot of really important morals and messages. Like when I get older, I can already feel myself getting older, man. I mean, I've been bald for sorry, I got these DVDs on my lap. I've been bald for quite some time, and I for a while I've kind of worn a hat because deep down I'm still a little insecure by it. But I'm hoping that by the time I hit like 40, it's gonna be less of a big deal for me because it's more common for 40-year-olds to be bald than it is a 20-year-old to be bald. Um, but one day I'm gonna start seeing gray hairs on my beard, and we all get old, we all get wrinkles as we get older, and we all become less physically active as we get older, and I think the moral of this movie is to really accept, not only accept but really own it. Embrace that you're getting older. Um, be wiser as you get older too. You know, and just stop thinking about what you look like on the outside. The substance does this phenomenally. Demi Moore is up for Best Actress. I hope she wins. I think that this is by far the best acting I've ever seen from her. And I love how the movie utilizes practical effects. There's no CGI or green screen, or at least from what I've seen. It's just all prosthetics, it's all makeup, and that's the kind of special effects that I love in horror movies. I don't like the whole CGI that most of them do now. This felt, in a way, very old fashioned, like 80s gory horror movies used to be. The movie's also nominated for Best Picture, and I'd endorse that if I haven't already watched this movie. My number two is Conclave. This is a kind of like a political thriller. The Pope died, and it's up to this guy, Ralph Fiennes' character, Cardinal Lawrence, to find who's the best man for the job as the new Pope. And the more and more you watch it, and the more, his investigation unfolds, the more he finds a lot of corruption within the Catholic Church, and a lot of like racism and sexism, and you can really feel the weight on this man's shoulders. The whole way through, it is just such a gripping movie. It just had me sucked in, throughout its 2 hour long um, runtime. It is incredibly well acted. Every single actor in this movie did an incredible job acting. Like I am almost like blown away. Um, it is written so well. It is edited so fine. It's kind of like a perfect movie. It is definitely the best dramatic work of the year that I've seen. I'm not religious. I'm borderline atheist, but I actually found a lot of the subject matter in this kind of relatable to what we're facing, in America, um, about transition of power and questioning that power and stuff. And I don't want to really get into the itty gritty of that, but my point is Conclave is a really tremendous film. This actually won the BAFTA for Best Picture last week, or 2 weekends ago. This won Best Picture at the BAFTAs, and I personally will be rooting for this movie at the Oscars. Ralph Fiennes is nominated, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to win. I'm pretty sure that's going to be Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. I haven't seen The Brutalist. I haven't seen Anora. I haven't seen Wicked, which a lot of people like, and I haven't seen Dune Part 2, which I hear is like a masterpiece. So there's a lot of movies, a lot of great movies that I missed, but out of all these that are nominated, Conclave is getting my vote. It's only rated PG. There's no like language and stuff, but it's such like a really the material that's presented is like no less intense than that of most R-rated movies. It's just a very well written, well acted, well constructed film. I'm no film reviewer, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, my number one movie of 2024, and this is going to come off as really crazy and silly. It is it's the one movie that I saw online. And I think it's technically a 2022 film, but it was only shown at like a festival in 2022, and so it didn't really get a full release to the public until like April 2024. And that movie is called Hundreds of Beavers. No, it's not a pornographic movie, okay? It's got nothing to do with 100 vaginas. Sorry, it's a bad joke. Hundreds of Beavers is an independent black and white spoof movie. Like it is like a semi live action, semi animated cartoon slapstick, just old school comedy movie with lots of physical humor. It takes place in the 1800s, I think, about like a fur trapper or something trying to survive in the wild and trying to find food. And all the animals are played by people in costumes. Like it's so low budget, but it's done that way so intentionally, and it's just so silly and goofy. There's a lot of just physical comedy and just the very essence of it. When I watched it brought me back to being a kid and watching funny Sunday morning cartoons like Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry and Three Stooges. It kind of reminds me a lot of Three Stooges in a way, and like the old Pink Panther movies with Peter Sellers, like so hilarious, so over the top, and just the whole style and the very minimalist dialogue. There's basically no dialogue in the game, and I mean, there's no dialogue in the movie. There's just body language, but you know exactly what they're conveying. And Hundreds of Beavers is actually free on YouTube with ads, of course, but it's on the YouTube channel, the movies and TV. If all you have to do is just type in Hundreds of Beavers on YouTube and you'll get the full movie with ads. Definitely watch Hundreds of Beavers, guys. If you grew up watching like really old, cartoons as a kid and slapstick comedy as a kid, you are going to love Hundreds of Beavers. There's this merchant that he keeps coming back to who has like different items that cost different amount of dead beavers and stuff. And if he gets like hundreds of beavers, he gets to marry his really, really pretty daughter. But is like really strict, and like the daughter is like really into the main character, and she does things to kind of like try to tempt him. And then meanwhile he's trying to like, don't, like, your dad is right there, he's like, don't do it. And then it's a movie where nothing really makes any logical sense, and it's very supernatural, and um there's the whole laws of physics do not apply with hundreds of beavers, and that's what makes it so special to me. The more I'm talking about hundreds of beavers, the more I'm spoiling it for everyone, and I'm sorry. I'm done talking about it. Hundreds of Beavers is my favorite movie of 2024, and I don't even care if it's a 2022 movie because we didn't get to see it until 2024, so what's to stop me from saying it's my favorite movie of 2024? It's also Chris Tuckman's favorite movie of 2024 that really popular YouTube movie reviewer. Hundreds of Beavers, man, that's my number one. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I know this is very unusual, but I decided, why not? In the past, a few times I've reviewed, TV series like *Halt and Catch Fire* or *Humans*, that Texas Rising miniseries, which wasn't very good. But once in a blue moon, I'll talk about something related to cinema or television. So here you go, guys. That was my top five movies of 2024, aka the five movies of 2024 that I saw from worst to best. Because I only saw five, but I liked them enough to make a top five. So, ugh. Anyway, guys, did you see any good movies this past year? What are your favorites? Let me know. Maybe I'll just put a link in the description. Hundreds of Beavers. I'll just put the link right there in case for some reason you can't find it. Stay tuned. In the next coming months, I'm gonna have some Let's Talk videos, so you might not see another like Let's Play until Onimusha 2, which comes out late May, so 3 more months for that. So yeah, this channel is going to be a little dry for the next few months, but in a few weeks I'll have something new for you guys. So yeah, thank you for watching.